Good evening and welcome to the Vigilate Dialogues. I am your host, Shaina Smith, welcoming you to the National Boardroom. The objective of our program, as always, is to discuss current community issues and affairs that affect our quality of life, and more importantly, speak about the solutions that we need to put into place. The last time we were here, we were speaking with President Dawson and Dr. Shaina Smith from the HLSCC, or Community College up there at Paraquita Bay. And they were telling us more information about the college's strategic vision, the accreditation process that they're currently undergoing, the International Honor Society conference that they will be hosting in January 2014, as well as the various programs and activities that are ongoing. And we want to encourage you to continue to support our community college. I want to thank again Dr. Carl Dawson and Dr. Shaina Smith for being here with us and sharing that insightful information. The Vigilante Dialogues is sponsored by Smith & Associates, Therapy Works BVI, and National Bank of the Virgin Islands. And we want to thank them for their generous support. Our conversation this evening is going to be on a serious topic, but it's something that we definitely need to be aware of and talk more about, not just once a year. And with me this evening, I have persons from the Office of Gender Affairs as well as the Partnership for Peace After Support Program. So I want to welcome my guests to the Vigilante Dialogues.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Go ahead and introduce yourselves and let our audience know who we have with us tonight.
I'm Lorolie Connor, the Gender Affairs Coordinator.
Okay.
I'm Hawley. I represent the PFP Aftercare Program.
All right. All right, guys. Thanks for being here. Let's start off with, what is the Office of Gender Affairs? We often hear about you guys in the news, but what exactly is the office all about?
The Office of Gender Affairs is the office that's charged with promoting gender equality and equity through policies and programs. Part of our programs are the After Support Program, the Partnership for Peace Program, Domestic Violence Awareness Month, International Women's Day, these observances. It's basically to bring about awareness on gender issues, basically. And they're different areas.
Different areas.
Yeah.
Okay. So apart from the different monthly awareness months that go on, in terms of gender equality, just to touch on that a little bit, when we talk about gender inequality, what does that mean?
Gender inequality is basically looking at the genders not having the same access. Now, when you get into equity, it's fairness. So gender equality is looking at the same access. For instance, to break it down so you can probably put it into context, the educational system, it's equal because everybody has equal access, so there's not a gender equality issue there.
Okay.
But when you look at the number of graduates, the persons going on to tertiary level education, there's an inequity somewhere because the numbers decrease for males, so they're like underachievers. So the key then would be to find out what is causing this. It's not the access, because everyone has the access, so it has to be something else.
Okay.
So it's going in and looking at assessing and analyzing that issue, trying to find out ways that you can bring that equity up to meet that of the females who are continuing on to tertiary level, becoming managers. We're seeing a real shift, and that's area for concern.
Okay. So where in the past it may have been an access issue, now that everyone has access, because then, you know, at some point women were trying to catch up, as it were.
Right.
So now we have more access to the different areas and within society, whether it's for jobs or education, like you used in your example. So the Office now of Gender Affairs will be looking at highlighting those issues, or would you guys actually be doing the work in terms of the assessments?
We're highlighting those issues. We do have a national gender policy, which was passed this year, and it identifies 7 areas for intervention. And one is education, another one is legislation, and we also look at politics, because there's equal access to politics for both male and female. But when you look at the persons in power, there's a disparity because there's not as many women holding decision-making positions as there are men. So there's that equality, but then again, the equity is an issue.
Okay, so there's equality but not equity.
Right.
All right, great. We're going to come back on and talk about that another day.
Okay.
I like that.
All right.
All right, so our topic tonight is on domestic violence. Recently, October, we just celebrated Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and you guys have come on basically for the last few years to talk to us about it, raise some issues. Last year, the new legislation went into effect, so we focused heavily on that in terms of getting that information out. How have things been going since then?
Well, since then, we have been trying to get into schools and departments and agencies to basically share the information. This year I had a lot more fun than last year because last year it was serious business. We had to get this act out. This year it was sensitizing children. We went into education department, education ministry. The minister was present for a section of the presentation. We went into the schools and spoke specifically to the principals about the new act. And, you know, it was just a really good time for me to work with the kids, the schools, the principals, education departments, and the Ministry of Education.
Okay. Awesome. So I know you had a full schedule for the month.
Yes.
Based on the calendar that I saw published. What were some of the objectives for the month?
Well, some of the objectives were basically, we wanted to raise awareness. That was number
Always
one
key.
priority, yes. And in raising awareness too, you can say that's part of a preventative measure as well, because if our youths understand exactly what domestic violence is, then they'll be more deterred from committing offenses because they're aware, they have that knowledge. And then we wanted to uncover domestic violence as it relates to intimate partner relationship and in the family, because people get mixed up between domestic violence and gender-based violence. Gender-based violence is like rape, sexual assault. That's happening to you because of your gender. Okay. Domestic violence happening within the context of a family or a home.
Okay.
So domestic violence and gender-based violence are two different things completely. Okay. Although domestic violence can fall under gender-based violence.
Okay.
So those were some of our objectives, and to motivate persons to report cases of domestic violence so we can get a truer picture of what the actual issues are when it comes to domestic violence, the areas that are being more impacted.
Okay. So in terms of going to the schools, is it that we've seen domestic violence? I don't know if we could call it domestic violence, but I remember on one particular show in Speaking with Social Development, they were talking about abusive relationships even amongst teenagers. So is that also part of your scope as far as, you know, trying to encourage healthier relationships, as it were, even for teenagers in their own peer range?
That was part of it. We did go into the schools, and we did have social development with us. When we spoke to the principal, Miss Stacy Stout James was present, and that presentation was very informative in terms of dialogue. The principals really asked some really interesting questions, and thankfully we had police on hand too, in the form of Kendall Bob.
Okay.
And he answered the questions as it pertained to the police, Miss Stout James as it pertained to social development, and we also had Kamika Forbes that was present in the event. There were legal questions, which there were a host of legal questions, so those questions were also able to be answered during that session.
Okay.
So we looked at that, but when it came to intimate partner relationship amongst our teens, we are aware that that's an issue. And even though we did sessions in the high school, we talked about domestic violence, and we always ended each session with healthy relationships. What is a healthy relationship? Looking at those characteristics. But it was interesting to see that the younger schools, they more understood what a healthy relationship was than the older ones.
In terms of the primary school level?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Class 4 and 5 basically understood more of what a healthy relationship looked like.
Okay. You can't put anything past this generation coming.
Not at all.
They on top of their game. But I'm glad for that, though, because, you know, it means that they already have that head start, that when they do get older, they have that information that they need to make them even more, you know, aware and formidable in their decision making, because that's what you want. You want them to have that information early, so that they can make informed decisions as they get older.
And the thing is, I think why that was so too is because in high school, I believe because the exposure was already there to unhealthy relationships, there's kind of a delusion like there can't possibly be healthy relationships because they've already experienced or seen unhealthy relationships, so it becomes the norm.
Yeah.
So I think that's why there was that difference. Because when we debriefed, when the team debriefed, it was like, this is weird. Why are we finding this trend that the younger students are grasping healthy relationship, but when we went into the high school, we were kind of baffled as what's going on here.
Yeah, there's disbelief and discouragement already.
Yes.
Wow, that's not good.
At all.
No, that's not good. So what are some of probably the follow-up actions that you guys will do?
Well, the thing is, every school that we went to, because we went to Virgin Gorda as well, we tried to get every school that we didn't get last year.
Okay.
So what we're trying to do now, we've been asked to come back to some of these schools asked us to come back to speak to the PTA, the Parent Teachers Association. So we're intending to go back and actually speak to parents and try to make it an ongoing process instead of just the month, because it's really tiring for that 1 month. And we would really like to spend more time in the schools discussing issues with the children.
Okay. Great, that'd be great because you have the whole year.
Yes.
So you can spread it out. All right. So one of the activities, I don't know how long the PFP has been out there, but Marcus, you're going to educate us now on it. Last year we talked a little bit about it, but this year we want to get more into giving more information about what it is, what's the purpose of it, and how it works. So go right ahead.
Well, the reason for being the PFP program is actually a veterans intervention program.
Okay.
And the way to get into this program is to be an offender.
Okay. So if you commit an offense.
So if you commit an offense against a lady or, well, for this part it would be a lady.
Okay.
And so you end up in court and court sends you here for 16 weeks.
Okay.
And this is where you get the tools, you get some ideas of how to not to be an offender again.
To do things better.
Better.
Okay, good.
So, what actually, now where we come to the PFP aftercare is, after the 16 weeks, some of the guys go back to the same relationship, or they start a new relationship. So what we have got together now and form like a brotherhood, so we could encourage each other not to reoffend.
So this is like a support group?
That's what it is.
Okay, good.
And to encourage others not to be an offender.
Okay.
So that's the real aim. So there's when we got together, and after just sitting there, not knowing what we can do to help others not to reoffend, we decided, okay, let's start to make some flyers, make some T-shirts, cups, key rings and stuff like that.
Okay.
To help promote the word. Encourage us not to lick ladies, treat ladies better.
Okay. So basically have healthier relationships.
Exactly.
Like we're talking about.
Yes.
All right. So what are some of the activities that you guys do? Well, let's start up with in terms of the program. It's 16 weeks. You said it was a 16-week program. So what are some of the activities and the different topics that you would go through?
Well, we were taught about sexuality, spirituality, religion. For 16 weeks, it was always a different topic. But the main thing was the main thing was conflict resolution.
Okay.
That's the key. When you get in a conflict, or before you get in a conflict, how to deal with it. And if you get in a conflict, how to get it cut off, slow it down, get away from the problem, and find a way to come back and deal with the problem in a better setting.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, one of the first things that they learn, is timeout. And I'm sure up to today you remember timeout, because that's like the first class that they have where they learn that when things are escalating, instead of getting into a heated argument and letting it get out of control.
And trying to resolve it in anger.
You can't do it in anger. So take some time out, but set limits on that timeout. Timeout doesn't mean you go for 2-3 weeks and then you come back and say, okay.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Try to move past it.
Right.
Okay.
So timeout means I'm going to be back in an hour. We're going to talk about this when I'm calm.
Okay.
Or you set your limits with your mate.
Yeah. Have that try to have that constructive conversation.
Right.
As far as, stick a pin in it, as
Yes.
it were, and if we be back. All right.
Yes.
Some people see the timeout as maybe childish or dumb. But if long as you do it the right way, it works well.
Okay.
You don't just, you get me angry, I gone. Be 10 minutes later. No.
Yeah. So communication skills then is a key part
You let
of the program.
You let your partner know that you're getting upset from the conversation, and you would like to leave and come back and speak about it more. You don't just turn off because that don't happen all the
And
time.
walk out, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That only makes the partner more angry.
Yeah.
So
escalates the situation.
yeah. So you have to let them know, no, you're not making me angry. I am getting angry. So I'm gonna excuse myself for an hour, and I'll be back and we'll try and sort it out.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So in terms of the brotherhood that you guys have established, what are some of the activities that you guys do in terms of supporting each other?
Well, what we do is when we meet, if anyone had an issue during the week or before, when we meet, we sit and we discuss it, and help encourage him not to let it get too much to him. So take your time, you know what you've been taught, go back in your books, and then you attack it from a better standpoint.
Okay. So you guys have study material that was given as part of the program?
Yeah, we have some notes.
Okay.
They have handouts as well.
Yeah, some.
Okay.
What was interesting is I went to one of their meetings because it's just the guys. But I went basically because they said that they wanted to launch their campaign, which they did during the month of July, from July 15 to August 15, because they wanted to be out there during the festivities, the August Festival Emancipation, because they realized that's a time when the domestic violence rates are up. And I went to that meeting, and as soon as I was done, it was like they didn't even give me a chance to get out of their room. They were like, so this is what's been going on. And that really touched me because it showed a level of camaraderie that exists between the guys. And one had an issue, so he wanted to talk to the other guys about it.
Okay.
So, I thought that was very interesting that they couldn't wait for me to say, okay, all right, I got what you need done.
Your agenda item is checked off now.
Yes,
so.
It's like, okay, we need to talk now.
We had to get his issue. We had to get him back on track, get it resolved, let him understand how to go back and deal with it. We couldn't let him go back home all angry and then he be a real offender. We can't have that.
Yeah. So you guys meet once a week?
Normally,
or as needed?
No, it's not that often.
Okay.
But sometimes, since it's not court mandated, we try to get together and meet at least every other month or so.
Okay.
It's not easy to get guys to just come and meet because somebody might be having a job to do.
Yeah.
But we try our best to meet as much as we could and keep things rolling because it's definitely a needed something.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Support groups of any kind are always an essential thing in terms of reinforcing whatever learned behavior you're trying to correct, because a lot of times it's stuff you've been doing for years.
It's always a different argument.
Yeah.
It don't be the same
and it's a live situation.
Argument it attacks, might be the same thing, attack you a different way.
Okay.
So you don't know how to deal with that one.
Yeah.
Even though it's the same thing, but it came out of the blue this time.
Yeah. So it's like a learning process.
It still is. It still is. Remember, some guys go back in the same relationship.
Okay.
So now you're supposed to be a better person. But guess what?
She hasn't changed.
Not that she haven't changed. She knows now you're supposed to be better.
Okay.
And she wants to see.
Oh.
She wants to see what you've learned. So let me test him a bit.
Okay.
So if he's such a better person, maybe I can get with this now. So let me just choke him a bit and see what happens.
Okay.
But the key is to try to teach her some of what you have learned.
Yeah.
And then if she's willing to help you, to help her, you'll have a smooth relationship.
Then everybody comes out on top.
Yeah, no more offending.
That's good. That sounds good. I like that. But we're going to take a quick break. stick a pin in this. Take a quick break, get a word from our sponsors. You're tuned into the Vigilante Dialogue, and tonight our topic, we're talking about domestic violence issues in our community, and I have persons with us tonight from the Office of Gender Affairs as well as representing the Partnership for Peace After Support Program. So we take a word from our sponsors and we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're tuned into the Vigilante Dialogues. I am your host, Shaina Smith, and this evening in the boardroom we're talking about domestic violence issues and what we are doing actively to prevent as well as to correct, because you know, this is something that's not new, and in a lot of cases, some people think there's no issue with it. So we're going to talk a little bit now about causes of domestic violence so that people can get a better understanding of, you know, what triggers it, as it were, because it is basically a negative behavior that we would like to correct. Some people might think there's, you know, it's minor compared to maybe larger offenses like, you know, robbery or murder, but if you're not careful, you know, domestic violence issues can escalate very fast, and it has a spiraling effect across the family. So to me, it's just as detrimental if it's not checked. So let's talk about what are some of the factors or the triggers that would trigger negative behavior such as domestic violence.
Well, first of all, domestic violence is something that can lead to death, actually. I mean, you were saying earlier it's not like murder, but it can lead to murder. Yeah,
that's also that's some of the incidences that we're seeing now.
Especially if you're about to leave or you want out of the relationship and the other person is like, this ain't happening. And then that's when you're dead.
Yeah.
But some of the causes, there are a lot of different factors, but more so is the lack of respect and the communication. Because if you respect someone, you will not beat, hit, violate that person's space. And it's important for people to understand that domestic violence is a violation of your human rights. As a human, you don't have the right to live in fear and abuse. As a human, you have the right to live violent-free. It's your human right. So when you violate someone's human right in that way, it's a crime because you're hurting that person. When you're fisting someone to the point where they're black and blue, it's not okay. And we need to understand that. And I think the lack of communication, and one of the things that PFP looks at, which I'm very happy that it's one of their objectives, is to be accountable for your behavior. You can't blame John for slapping you. You can't say it's my fault John slapped me, which most victims feel that way. That is their fault, why he did this, I should have been better. It's almost like a child when they're being abused.
You're being punished.
Exactly. So one of the first things that they learn in the program is to be responsible for their own actions. You are responsible for you. No one took your hand and hit the person. You did that. You decided to do that. You had a choice. You could have left that situation alone. So I think it's lack of communication. Then there's other issues in the home if there are disputes. But it's always about one thing, Shaina. That's power and control. One person wants to have power and control in that relationship.
So they use it as an intimidating, a way of intimidating the other.
I have to be in control. You shouldn't have talked to that guy, then I wouldn't have slapped you. If you didn't spend all my money, I wouldn't have boxed you. Power and control.
Because there are more mature ways of dealing with these situations. Yes, you will be upset, and we're not denying that, because I know for some people they're going to be, well, you know, I really got upset because of the particular situation, but that doesn't, like you're saying, doesn't exempt you from taking responsibility for whatever your behavior or whatever your actions are as a result of it. Because there's going to be consequences. There's
always consequences, and it's important to connect to that you are responsible, there are consequences. Police has a new policy where it's mandatory arrest for the aggressor. So if both persons are the aggressor, they consider it both persons get arrested. It's a serious matter. It's very, very serious. And for us to close our eyes to it culturally
Yeah.
can no longer happen.
Yeah.
Culturally, we have to accept the fact that domestic violence
There
is a crime.
problem. Yeah.
There is a problem.
There's a problem. Because even the stats that you shared with me, as far as 2009, there were 69 reported cases. 2010, 84. 2011, 87. And 2012, 184.
Yes.
So that is quite a leap from 2009. That's basically 3 times.
And you want something more alarming? When the officers were at the schools, they gave us a little glimpse of what the stats look like up until June this year.
Mhm.
They were already past that.
Wow.
So I can't wait to see what they're going to come out and look like this year.
Well, I think sometimes these things are like catch-22, because then I know in terms of your campaigns for awareness, it's causing a lot more people to speak out, because again, like we're saying, it's not a new problem and it has existed for quite a while. But now with awareness, more women are probably, taking control now of their lives, as it were, and saying, you're not tolerating
I
this
think
anymore.
that's part of it, but then remember that our new act was enacted last year as well.
Okay.
So it included things like intimidation, stalking, harassment. All of these things are now included: electronic emailing, financial abuse or economic abuse.
Okay.
So all these things are included now, which makes it easier to identify
Okay.
key areas.
Okay.
So, and once you're aware, that awareness is essential in getting people to come out and report, so we can get a true picture of what the problem is. And one thing I'm happy about with this awareness campaign is that we can no longer say it's a family issue. It's a community issue. Our prisons are filled with men, and if you check their background, you will see that quite a few of them are from homes where there was domestic violence, because they didn't learn how to negotiate. They didn't learn how to dialogue with in terms of expressing themselves. So when it comes to abuse, they get upset. They don't have any idea of how to resolve.
Yeah.
Conflict resolution isn't part of their vocabulary, so they get angry, they pow, story done, and I mean, it's really sad.
Yeah, it can go to the extreme very quickly.
It's really sad because they don't have the skill to think things through and to look at it from a accountability perspective, where you say, okay, if I do this, what's going to be the end result?
Yeah.
And that's what kids need to see in homes. Because domestic violence is not something that you get up and do one day.
Yeah.
It's something that you've seen over the years. It has played in your mind. It has played in your spirit. And so when you're faced with adversity or you're faced with a challenge, you don't know how to step back from the situation and say, you know what, I'm going to take the high road.
Yeah.
No, you're going to get caught up in that moment because you didn't learn to resolve.
Yeah. And that's, I think, something very key, which you touched on, Marcus, as far as learned behavior. So it's almost as if you have to unlearn some things and learn some new things to replace it in terms of how you manage your relationships.
Exactly.
Yeah. Some of what people use is a part of what they think is a part of their culture. They grow up. Well, some use that excuse like from the different countries that this is what they see all the time.
Yeah.
And some of us guys, we just downright plain macho. It has to be how we say it. It has to be done when we say, if we say. And that's what we got to get rid of.
Okay.
We have to understand that the things that we saw our fathers doing or our uncles doing wasn't right.
Yeah.
So we can't have our ladies living in fear. Because one thing I've learned throughout the years is when you have a lady doing something for you out of her heart, it's done proper. When she's doing it because she's afraid of you, it's not done to the best.
Okay.
So it's not rewarding getting the lady to do things because she's afraid of you.
Yeah.
She gets up and just do what she feels she needs to do around the home or with you or with the children. That's like heaven.
Yeah. So operating from love versus fear is basically
Big difference.
Big difference.
And I'd like to say that I appreciate the after support program, because what I've noticed is that these guys' lives have changed in so many ways. Even with their children, their relationships with their children has changed. And it's amazing to see that a program, learning new concepts, experiencing new thoughts, beliefs, going through this whole process, developing friendships that last, being responsible. It's possible for us to move away from the culture that we know. Even though it's a pocket now of men who are successful in this program, the culture will shift if that number increases, because culture is actually the majority, what the majority believes or feels.
Yeah, it becomes a norm.
Then it becomes a norm. So if we can get more people to understand that relationships are partnerships, because the theme for this year was, in a relationship to be respected is expected, which came from the Men of the After Support program. They had like 4 slogans that they ran with during that month from July 15 to August 15. And at the bottom of the line, or the bottom line is, respect is needed in a relationship.
It's a must.
It's a must.
I think it's a must, if nothing else.
And there has to be equality.
Yeah.
There has to be equality. You're the head of the household, but she's also with you in that endeavor. Especially when it comes to raising children. They can't see the bickering and the fighting, because what you're teaching them is, when you get upset, just fight.
This is how you deal with it. Start shouting.
If mom shouts at dad, then I could do it too.
Yeah.
I don't need to listen to him when he speaks. And you have to learn that even though it's your child, you don't have to always demand the child. You can ask the child to do stuff, and it works well that way.
Yeah.
When you start, when I come home, you better get the kitchen clean.
Yeah.
That child is going to test you to see, okay, I don't see what daddy going to do
If
when
I
he
don't
come
clean
home.
it.
If I don't clean his
If
kitchen.
I don't clean the kitchen. Yeah.
Yeah, most of the time you say, look, I got to go out, clean up the kitchen for me. The earlier the better. You go and you come back, kitchen spick and span. You have no problem. Go and do this. They go. When you say, look, you better get that kitchen clean, you better do this, you better do that.
Yeah. It's like we're talking down to them.
Yeah.
That power and control is like, I have the
Yeah,
power.
so it don't work too well.
Yeah.
But if you ask a child, do this here for daddy, please. All right, daddy. And they try, even if they don't get it do properly, at least they feel, it's like they got an incentive to go and do it.
Yeah.
Daddy asked me kindly, let me try and make daddy happy.
Happy, yeah.
And it goes across the board, the children, the wife, the lady, whoever's there.
Yeah. All the relationships,
Everything.
basically, we're saying. Yeah. And that's so key, because I think some of the issues now that we're facing in terms of in school with bullying, a lot of persons we blame it, or we point to media and the songs and TV and all that. But kids learn what they see every day. And a lot of time it's the relationships in their immediate environment.
Exactly.
And that's where, this aggression tends to start to play itself out, because I can't get aggressive back with my parent, but I'm going to go to school and bully somebody.
Exactly. That's what happens.
And it's something that translates all around. So we really have to open up our eyes to understand now the dynamics that start to play out from one negative situation that you think a child might be too even young to understand.
Right.
But they're picking it up. They're learning.
They are.
They're learning, and they may be too young to understand exactly, this is wrong, because they're just learning what they see, And
it's amazing that you say that, because I have a 20-year-old and I have a 5-year-old. And my 20-year-old, they're at that stage where they're at the cusp of manhood. And so he's quite challenging. And when I'm talking to him, my 5-year-old says, Mommy, you and brother cussing? I'm like, because she's not used to that. And I'm like, no, we're disagreeing.
Yeah.
And we have to take it down a notch, because she's not used to that. Right. But she brings it to the forefront. She's like, are y'all cussing? Because it's like, this is not good.
Yeah.
So kids pick up on the way you interact with each other, and they're going to take that to school, and that's what they're going to practice. So what you're doing at home, you might think it's staying at home.
Yeah.
But it's actually not. It's not going to stay at home. Your kids are going to go out there and do exactly what they see at home.
Yeah, it's two things children wear, their clothes and their parents.
Yeah.
They wear their parents.
They wear their
Yeah.
parents.
I actually-
Because I've seen so many situations, even like say for example on their jobs. If they're having disagreements on their job and issues on their job, and they come home and they speak about these things in front of their children or talk to the children about these things, and these are adult situations that should never be discussed with children. Because again, you're teaching them, this is what you do when you have a conflict situation on your job. You come home and you talk about your coworkers and your boss, you know, instead of looking at constructively how you're going to deal with the situation.
Yeah, I had to deal with that with my 16-year-old as well.
Mm-hmm.
You have to show her your younger sisters are watching. So if you blatantly disrespect me, they're going to feel the same way.
Yeah.
You know, and what one thing I had to, I actually taught her, I said, you notice the way I used to behave towards your mom?
Mm-hmm.
Say, don't look for any guy that behaves that way towards you.
Yeah.
I told her plain, it's bad behavior.
Mm-hmm.
It's not good.
Yeah.
I told her, if you see me doing it again, that's because daddy has a problem and I'm working on it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to let them know.
Have that frank conversation with
Let them know.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very
Because
important.
if you don't,
Mm-hmm.
they figure that's the norm.
That's
And
okay.
She
Yeah.
might figure, okay, if a guy slapped me wrong a bit,
Mm-hmm.
my father used to do it.
Yeah.
My father used to shout at my mom, cuss, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So if he does it, I don't like it, but
Mm-hmm. You
it's
accept
normal.
it.
I saw my
Yeah.
father doing it, so I had to let her know, no,
Yeah.
that's not good behavior. So
But that's a
don't look
key.
for a guy like your father right now.
Mhm.
Your father ain't behaving good now. So that's not the one. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to get better.
Yeah.
You see, the better guy,
Mm-hmm.
that's the one I want for you.
Yeah.
So I showed her. She ended up seeing both faces.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
She saw a dad that wasn't too good
Mm-hmm.
and changed from that no good
Positive
father.
changes.
Yeah, so she see that,
Good.
you know. But
It's important he brought that up because domestic violence is a cycle.
Mm-hmm.
What you see is what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So you see mom and dad cussing, you're gonna do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you go through some sort of evolution
Yeah.
where you've evolved from that.
Yeah.
But you have to first deal with those issues.
Yeah.
And I always try to stress to parents who are in relationships that are abusive that what they're doing is showing their children that this is what you're going to end up being in.
Yeah. You're showing them their future if they're not careful.
They're showing them their future. You're going to accept it if you're a woman or if you're an abuser. But we have women who now are retaliating and they're the abusers.
Yeah. And I was just about to touch on that because it either goes into where they become the victim
Mm-hmm.
or they become the aggressor because they go to the other extreme and say, well, you know, I used to see my father hit my
And it
mother.
ain't happening to me.
And ain't no man put in their hand. Don't even look to talk little loud because we're going to have it up.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like the balance has to
It's
be
to find
brought.
that balance.
Yeah, it
It's
has
to
be
find
brought.
it. And it's really hard. So that's
Yeah.
why it's important to teach your children
Yeah.
what a healthy relationship looks like.
Yeah. And that's what I wanted to, in terms of, you know, we get that point across of domestic violence isn't just about the month of October.
No, it's not.
But it is something that should be basically talked about on a daily basis. Because on a daily basis, things are
It's
happening
happening.
in our homes across the territory.
Yeah.
And it's not a discriminator as in terms of, well, you know, it's for lower income persons versus middle income or higher income. But everybody is affected by domestic violence in some way, shape, or form. And being now that, like we touched on earlier with the law, where there are different forms of it that persons may not have been aware of before, you know, in terms of these are unhealthy situations in your relationship. If you're being harassed by email or being stalked via the phone and those different types of things, because I think before we just brushed it off.
Brushed it off. It was no problem.
And, you know, left it to hopefully go away,
Yeah.
or it may go to another extreme. So that is very key.
yeah, well, the email part is a very serious one. Well, let's say the Facebook part.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you do that on Facebook, it's
The
not just
world
one
knows.
person, it's the world
Yeah.
seeing it.
Yeah.
So that becomes a very major issue. So it's a good
Yeah.
thing now that if you do that, you can be
Yeah. It's
Prosecuted.
considered an
prosecuted for it.
offense. Okay.
You know, so that's a good thing.
And they're mandatory sentences, or it's at the discretion of the judges?
They are mandatory for reoffending. I think it's at the discretion of the judges for the initial sentencing of offenses.
Okay.
And their fines as well. So I thought too it was important to mention that when we went to the schools, we asked 4 girls. We would just choose randomly 4 girls to stand up. And then we would look them in the eye and say, one of you will be abused. That's what stat says.
Stat says, yeah.
See how fast people sit up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we would ask 10 guys to stand up. See how fast them guys sit down. 1 in 10 males will be abused. But that's how serious this thing is. It can be anyone. You can't look at somebody and say, oh, she's not being abused. You don't know.
Yeah.
What it's the high and mighty are abusing, the lower class are abusing, the whites, the black, the professionals, the unprofessionals. Domestic violence has no face that you can label.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't discriminate.
Not at all.
It doesn't discriminate. So we can't ever look at a particular, demographic and say, well, these cases have to be with, this particular area in our society, but it's something that everybody needs to be more aware of and understand what it is we're dealing with.
Right.
One of the good things with the new act now is that guys don't have to be afraid anymore. If you're being abused, you can now go to the police and tell them what's happening, and they have to take you seriously.
Okay.
So there's no need to feel like a smaller man anymore.
Yeah.
If you're being abused, you need help. Go to the police, and they have to take you seriously.
And they're actually encouraged.
If they don't, then they will be taken up to the superior.
Yeah.
So they can actually be in trouble themselves.
So there are consequences now if they ignore a reported
That's
situation.
part of the PFP program too, because you can't have the men, teaching them new strategies to deal with their relationship, but they're with someone who has not been through that process, who might have a different mindset. So you let them know, well, if things are getting, too heated, then you don't be afraid to go to the police because you're a man. You're covered in this act too. So they can go right on ahead, go to the police station, and you should be taken seriously. If you're not, the commissioner, the superiors, the superintendents, the chief inspectors, it will be taken seriously.
Okay, and they could file a complaint basically.
Of course.
About the situation. All right, guys, well, we're kind of already wrapping up time, so we're going to take another quick break, get a word from our sponsors, and come back, and let's talk about some more of the solutions about how we deal with this scourge in our society of domestic violence and having a healthier community, as it were. Because I always think of these things as there's emotional health just like there's physical health, and domestic violence is one of those things that really can stress people out, and if you have persons already dealing with anger issues, it just compounds everything. So we're going to talk more about the solutions when we come back from the break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're tuned into the Vigilante Dialogues. I am your host, Shaina Smith. And with me this evening, we've been talking with Ms. Lorolie from the Office of Gender Affairs and Marcus Hawley from the PFP, the Partnership for Peace After Support Program. And we've been getting a lot of good information about the work that you guys are doing. And I want to congratulate you on it, because this is something that I'm glad to see it's basically gaining momentum, as it were, and more visibility. So hopefully, as we continue to raise awareness about the issue of domestic violence, we start to see some positive changes, especially in the next generation to come. Because as we had alluded to before, we talked about how this is something that is ingrained in our culture or our way of life, and it has become, I gotta say, it has become a norm for quite a while. And it is something now that we're trying to change that norm and put a new norm in place. So, and that's never an easy task.
It's never easy.
Let's talk some more about then solutions. How do we go about learning these new behaviors, whether it's individually on a family level, and then corporately as a community and a society, and how everyone can get involved in it?
Okay. Well, first and foremost, I like to say that peace in the home is peace in the community. So when we start to see social ills popping up all over the place, the robbery, the assaults, the rapes, murders, there's clearly problems going on at home that are manifesting themselves then thereby in the wider society. And the quicker we can grasp that, the better. Because what our society reflects is what's happening within our homes. So if you have abuse happening in your home, one of the solutions to getting through this problem is to find help. You can find help at the Department of Social Development, at Family Support Network, the Office of Gender Affairs. We don't offer services, but what we do is we have intake process where we take the information from you and then we navigate you through the government system to the different agencies. So if you need police help or you need to make a statement, we will call them in. If you need to get food or clothing, we will call social development, let them know you're on your way, and take as much information so we can pass it on so you wouldn't have to go and repeat yourself. Send you out
counseling,
exactly. Counseling, referrals, all of that. We will assist you. Mental health, we use an array of agencies. Okay, and what we're doing too is trying to collaborate with different departments besides social development, like I said, Family Support Network, Human Resources, and the Office of Gender Affairs has worked closely together. The hospital services, because they're part of the National Domestic Violence Protocol, which we would like to have signed in the near future. So the first thing to do is to try and get help, and those are the agencies: Social Development, Family Support Network, and the Office of Gender Affairs.
And this is not just if you're, you know, in that extreme situation, but as soon as you identify that you have an issue, they should talk to you guys.
And there are agencies who are coming forward, like yesterday, or I just did a retreat. I did a presentation at the retreat for the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, and that presentation was on dealing with victims. They wanted to be sensitized in how to deal with victims, and they also requested information on domestic violence so that they could hand on to their clients, so they could have that wraparound service as well, and it's not just so we're the prosecutors.
That collaboration that's going on.
And that's what's needed to deal with this issue. Everybody needs to be on board. We all need to be on the same page at the same time. And that is what's happening now.
And I think that acknowledgement that there is a problem, that goes a long way, because that's half of the battle basically won. Because then everyone knows that, you know, we have an issue, we need to be focusing on how do we deal with it, how do we solve it.
Exactly.
All right. So you touched on in terms of wanting to do more awareness activities throughout the year. In terms of, you know, again, educating the public. I can't say enough about that. That is so
it's
key.
It's really important.
We tend to forget about these things after the month.
No,
we
can't forget.
The banners come down and all of that, and then we forget. So we put it on the back burner. Meanwhile, we're buying the newspapers and seeing these cases every week that are showing up in the magistrate's court. So it is something that is a constant, you know.
What we did too is for this month, last month, because we're now in November, but what we did for Domestic Violence Awareness Month was we did 4 short infomercials. They were very interesting. I don't know if you got to see one.
No, I can't recall.
One was on cyberbullying, blasting people on the Facebook, the internet, the social media period. The other one is on infidelity, something that's easily accepted in this society. The third one was on nagging. It's something that we do on a regular basis, but we don't even realize that it's a form of abuse. You know?
It is a very unhealthy behavior.
And the next one is a touchy one, but it's also true on the part of women. They withhold for control. You know, well, he ain't cleaning the yard. Well, I gotta see when he gonna get some. I don't know where he getting it from. That's wrong. That is wrong. When you're in a relationship, that power and control struggle shouldn't take place in those forms. And so those 4 issues to me were key because they're accepted within our society, and we have to see them.
That's part of the culture change that we're after.
So we had to put them out there so that people would know these behaviors that we practice, and we think it's okay. It's not okay. So I wish we could run them
continually. That'd be good. Talk to the station manager. You gotta work something out. But it's very key because, in order for the culture change that we're talking about, that we want to see, it has to be something that's continuous. And not just, the awareness month is about having that extra push. But it needs to become basically something that's we're always seeing until it gets down into our psyche. That it starts to become first nature. So it's like, the automatic response would be a different thing than what we're seeing.
And what's important too is that We're building relationships with other agencies, and like I said, that is also key in making that change. When the agencies can have the type of relationships that would allow them to work cohesively to address this problem.
Okay, great. And it not be just reactive but proactive. I like
Exactly.
that. That's what I like to see. Marcus, what are some of the solutions you like to see or things that the partnership is working on in terms of bringing about that change that we need to see?
Well, definitely we'll have to have more guys come out and help speak on not being an advocate. So my thing is, in the beaver is very small. So a lot of guys, they're afraid to be heard and they're afraid to be seen.
Okay. They're afraid of being labeled or the stigma
Yeah.
that comes with
People still label them.
Yeah.
Because some guys, I don't know the extent of what happened with other guys.
Okay.
You know, but some people have seen pictures and the result of domestic violence on their behalf didn't look too good.
Yeah.
So they don't really want anyone hearing them or seeing them. But they have to understand you did a wrong. You went through a 16-week program. You have tried your best to change. And now you need to start to show people that you are changing. You don't change automatically.
Yeah, it's not an overnight process.
Yeah, so we need to be, more guys need to come out, because you can, if you see one face all the time, it comes like, he or she, they are always talking crap. So we ain't studying them. But then when more guys join the bandwagon, and not just guys that offended, guys who have seen it, or guys who have went through it, but they haven't been reported, but they want to change. So guys like those is who we need to come out.
Okay, so you don't have to be basically an offender to be a part of the program.
No.
Anybody can be
Actually, we don't want any more offenders.
Okay.
We hope,
well, not that you
we
want
hope
more,
and
but
pray. We hope and pray that they,
but I understand what
they
you
stop.
mean. Yeah,
We hope
yeah,
until they
definitely.
stop.
Get to a point where you have 0 cases, and
Yeah.
but we're trying to move now in the direction of preventing it from happening.
Right.
Yeah. So for now, we have to deal with selling, putting up flyers and banners and selling T-shirts, keyrings, anything that people can get in front of them that they can see or read that something is definitely wrong with domestic violence. We need to stop it.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah. So if we get more guys to stop worrying about the culture.
Yeah.
So this is the culture that I was brought up in, but it don't have to be me.
Yeah.
I don't have to do that. And it doesn't make me less of a man to treat a woman with love and respect.
Yeah.
It works better when you treat her with love
And
and
everybody's
respect.
happier. I
That's
mean,
right.
That's at the end of the day, we all just want to be happy and get along.
That's right. So we just want more guys to come out,
Understand that.
understand exactly what domestic violence is,
Yeah.
and to help spread the word.
Okay.
It's not a good thing. We don't want our sons. I want to go and watch my son play a game. Watch my son involved in what you call it, play music somewhere.
Something
You know?
positive.
I don't want to
Yeah.
go visit my son at Balsam Gut,
Yeah.
or keep going to the school because my son in detention again. No. So it starts with me.
Yeah. That's key.
That's
so how
a-
would someone in
that's
contact
another
you
slogan.
guys?
How would someone contact
So how would
you?
someone contact you guys as far
Well,
as
for now they would have to contact Gender Affairs,
okay.
the Office of Gender Affairs.
Okay. And the number there, Lorolie, is
468-0017.
okay. And is that a 24-hour number or that's office hours?
Those are office hours, 8:30 to 4:30, but we're usually there a little later,
Okay.
probably 5 o'clock.
All right. And any emergency situation, they probably get
Family Support Network or Social Development Department.
Okay, you can do that. Sorry, I cut you off. I think you were saying something else as far as solutions or some of the ideas that you guys had.
Yeah, besides, well, we spoke about selling T-shirts and, but I think one of what we're trying to get is actually to act out something physical rather than TV or what.
Like role play.
A role play something so you could understand like from a physical standpoint
Yeah.
what actually goes on. Because I can tell you, seeing fear and your partner's face is not something easy to swallow. When you actually sit down and you realize she was really scared of me, you know? I don't, you feel like a monster.
Yeah.
And I don't think you want to go around feeling like a monster.
Yeah.
Because I had my issue. And trust me, I didn't feel, if vindicated is the right word.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that way. Like I did good. I got what I wanted. No, I didn't feel that way.
Okay.
I just felt like, okay, I did my wrong, and I could have done it this way and not that way. I
Take
feel like
responsibility.
I just, all I did was hurt the lady, hurt my daughter. It wasn't a good feeling.
Yeah.
So I would think that other guys felt the same way after the whole thing died down.
Yeah.
That's not a good feeling.
Yeah.
So I would tell guys, nah,
Yeah.
throw away the macho thing.
That's very admirable, though, because most men don't come out and say that they feel bad after these incidents. You know, they keep it undercover.
And I think that all lends itself to the whole fact that we talked about, you know, having healthy relationship skills, what that entails, and how you process things when you do make mistakes. Because we're not saying that, you know, everybody's perfect in their relationship. But it is something that when you do make a mistake, how do you process it and how do you respond to it? Because for some people now, the guilt is there, but they don't know how to process it in terms of becoming better and learning from the
This
mistake.
is true, and then that can also go either way. It can be you keep that in and then you become resentful because you have this guilt carrying around.
Yeah.
Or you can work on the relationship.
Yeah.
But it's important for people to understand relationships are not smooth.
No.
It's work. You
Yeah.
will have problems, you will have issues, disagreements. It's working them out in a
Yeah.
positive way.
Yeah.
You can agree to disagree, but you're still together,
Yeah.
respectfully.
Yeah. And knowing, and that's one key thing that I appreciate you saying in terms of love and respect. That has to be the foundation of everything that goes on in a
Exactly.
relationship. Because if you really love her, you really love your kids, especially if kids are a part of this picture, then, you know, you want to do right by them. You know, and it's not just about you and being the man, as it were.
It's not just about being a man.
It's not about just being a man and everybody bowing down. So
Yeah.
it's thing, and we see these things played out on TV a lot of times in movies and TV programs, but we really take it for granted, you know, how really things are
Right here.
right next door, you know, or even in your own house.
Yeah.
But again, because the awareness hasn't been there, the understanding, as far as this is learned behavior, and this is something that can change. This is something where, you know, you push up your chest even bigger and say, well, this is how I am. Because I know, you know, there are going to be situations
are
where
people
persons
like
are
that,
going to
yes.
be, this is how I am. I have a temper and I accept that, so you need to accept that too. But, you know, and it's real. I mean, people might be thinking I'm talking far-fetched, but it's true.
That is so
People
true.
are going to be like, this is how I am. I have a temper. I get angry. And when I get angry, I do stuff and I say stuff.
I hit you
Because
and you just deal with it.
Even worse, sometimes I think, is the emotional abuse and the
Yes.
mental abuse that goes without. So they know how to control you from an emotional perspective and mentally without putting a hand on you.
Exactly.
You know, so because there's no physical evidence, people tend to think, you know, it's not an issue. We come to accept and tolerate it.
I don't think we have an excuse for ignorance.
No. Well, see, that's why Lorolie is working overtime with what she is doing, and I want to commend you guys and thank you on behalf of our community for the hard work and speaking out too, and sharing your own story, because I like you're saying, it's a small community, but I think it makes easier work for us, because then, you know, if I knew you before and now I'm seeing you now in a different, you know, forum, and you're trying to make that effort to make impact and share your experience so that other people can learn from it, you know, that's to be commended. So, you know, I take what people say about small communities, but we have easier work to do when you think about it, because it's something where it's more personal.
Exactly.
You know, it gets
And you
really
can relate.
a lot more personal, yeah.
Mhm.
So it's not just something off on TV in America someplace, but, you know, this is right here at home. And we want to address these numbers, definitely, because for a small population, these are very high, very high. Well, I want to thank you guys for being here. But before you go, share contact information again, Lorolie, as far as how we contact
All
the
right.
office.
The Office of Gender Affairs, you can contact us at 468-0017. That's 468-0017.
And you're located where?
We're located at the Mill Mall, upstairs B&F Medical Complex. We're on the same porch where the insurance store is. They're on the left and we're on the right.
Okay. And last question. This is our tagline here at the Dialogues. What's your favorite thing about the Virgin Islands?
My favorite thing about the Virgin Islands is our smallness.
Or?
Our smallness.
Okay.
Our uniqueness. The way we know everybody. I don't go anywhere and not know somebody.
Yeah.
You know.
You like that too? Everybody hailing you, right?
I like that.
I told somebody I miss that in college. It is sometimes we feel like it's annoying, but it's not like annoying in a bad way.
No, but when you move to the U.S. or you've lived there, then you really miss
Become
it.
anonymous.
Yes, because it's like, I don't know anybody in this big place.
You don't know anybody, nobody knows you.
Yes, so I like the smallness.
I like the small. Yeah, we complain sometimes about being a small community, but I like it. I like knowing the people and you know, like really knowing people.
Being able to interact with persons on a
Yeah.
personal level and being able to say, oh, I know your grandmother.
Yeah.
You know?
Borrow a cup of sugar.
Yes.
That's how we survive. People, like, we got to get back to this thing, you know?
That's what I like.
Because we have gone to a point where we become, instead of being community-centered, self-centered. So it's about when I close in my door, that's me and that's it. And that's why issues like domestic violence will continue to pervade if we don't change that. Because then it's like, what happened in my house is my business. What happened in your house is your business, and I try and get in. And that's not good. It's not going to work. So, Margaret, what's your favorite thing?
Yeah, I like the close-knit community as well. And I like the fact that we have so many islands and things that we could island hop. If you want to get away from the everyday people, could just island hop.
Take a break on just a night.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
that's the uniqueness of it.
Just a few family over there, so it's not everybody just to get away from the normal noise.
You might meet somebody new, who knows?
Better still.
Yeah.
That is great to meet new people.
Yeah. See, that's good. I love home, you know.
I love home, and the fact that where we're located is easy access to the U.S. It's easy access to Trinidad. You just hop on a plane and you just go somewhere. You know, it's home.
Yeah.
I love home.
I wouldn't trade it. We have our issues, but I would not trade it.
This is it for me. I love home.
I'm staying.
We need to try and enjoy it more.
Yeah.
Especially
and
the sea.
And that's one of the reasons why I even do this question, because it just popped up. And I know people probably figure out, well, where did this come from? But it is something for us to learn to appreciate what we have. Because, yes, we have the bad, and we can talk about the bad stuff all day, every day, and complain till we're out of breath, and we're so tired mentally from processing all of it. Because I get like that sometimes. But when I start to think about, you know, I can get up and go to the beach in 5 minutes. I can go to a different island in 15, you know, or I could just go over the road and sit down, and next thing you know, there's a group of us there talking, you know, about different things and just life and sharing, you know, and that gives you the little pick-me-up to keep going.
You go shopping on a Saturday. I remember one Saturday, you and I were in the same supermarket. We stood up there for time just talking. You were going to the beach. I was just hanging out. You know?
You know, so it's like those types of things is what keeps life, you know, fresh, as it were. Because you can get so bogged down easily with different things. So I'm so happy for that. Well, guys, thank you for being here in the boardroom and sharing with us.
It was great.
And feel free to come back anytime.
All right.
Anytime. Because we definitely have to keep the word out there. Not just get it out, but to keep it out there. And continue to educate ourselves as to what is going on in our community. And again, talk more about the solutions, because, you know, we spend too much time talking about the problems sometimes. So let's talk more about the solutions and have that change in conversation. You've been tuned into the Vigilate Dialogues. We're sponsored by Smith & Associates, Therapy Works BVI, and the National Bank of the Virgin Islands. You can tune in and watch us actually on the internet, www.cbnbvi.com. The program re-airs on Sundays at 6 p.m. and we're here on Thursdays at 8 p.m. If you'd like to be a sponsor or a guest, feel free to give us a call here at the studio, 494-7815. And as always, until next time, I am your host, Shaina Smith, saying let's continue the change in conversation for a better, healthier, beautiful Virgin Islands. Good evening.